So I wanted to wait as long as possible before I could put cohesive thoughts towards the new look Chelsea. The owners put forward a four window strategy, and now we have a serious squad at our disposal. Now, preseason and the first few games of the season would actually act as sufficient evidence to see what we can expect going forward, but preseason was not good. I mean, we were conceding goals against Wrexham, getting slapped by Celtic and Man City, far from ideal. But you could see things were starting to change piece by piece as Maresca wanted to introduce and emphasize control rather than going end to end football. One performance in preseason that went unnoticed but was extremely encouraging was that 1-1 draw against a very solid Inter Milan outfit just a week before the season as well. Now, that game was the catalyst, and since then we have been craving for is consistency in the backline and the spine, and that is what we have been seeing on the pitch. With all the selection headaches that Maresca will have going forward, this bit is crucial. At home against City, Chelsea went with a 4-3-3 with a midfield three of Lavia, Enzo and Caicedo, with Jackson up front and Palmer and Nkunku holding the width. Now on paper I had no qualms about it, and the first half was all about fine margins, and there were some lovely moments of build-up play early on with Lavia at the 6 really standing out, and more importantly Chelsea restricting City to very little, but Chelsea didn't capitalize on our good moments, and with City with Haaland they were ruthless. A 2-0 defeat with Sanchez chucking one in. It was a bad day at the office, but no reason to panic. The Conference League qualification was iffy, but we can look at that as a tie with minutes being afforded all around to get everybody else up to speed for the season. The emphasis was clearly on Wolves away, a notoriously bogey ground for Chelsea, with the last victory at the Molineux coming under Lampard's first season. Straight away, the defensive shape though became more and more apparent. I feel the consistency as on the ball. Cucurella played as the left-sided centre half with Gusto inverting into the midfield. Jackson scoring just 90 seconds in should have really calmed the nerves, but instead those old habits from last season just crept back in, and it was basketball all over again. I mean, it was 2-2 at halftime and I was fuming. You must change it. It's not working. And all Maresca did was hook Mudryk off for Neto, giving him his first minutes for the club. I mean, we spoke about the emphasis on control, and that's exactly what happened in the second half. Enzo Fernandez dropped a little bit deeper, and Chelsea won a lot more of their duels. And Palmer, who scored the goal of the month in the first half, turned chief provider in the second, with Madueke scoring a hat-trick, all courtesy of Palmer's final passes. I mean, Cole had a monster debut for Chelsea, operating on that right hand side. Now he's getting the reins as the number 10. The icing on the cake, I felt, was Chelsea's sixth, and that is a goal that I have seen at least 20 times on repeat. A sensational team move that ended in Felix slapping one in top bins, man, after a Neto cutback. It was 3 points and sensational vibes. Way was, which will be further highlighted in the end of the season, was the end of that right hand side of Palmer and Gusto, which was by far the best aspect last season, with Palmer now playing at the number 10 and Gusto inverting into midfield from right back. Now that is a very interesting move, and it is more focused on balance rather than just excelling at one side of the pitch. We then went into Crystal Palace at home, where 3 points was almost expected considering Palace not hitting their strides and Chelsea coming off an amazing away day. Consistency in the backline, spine, and the starting 11 becoming more and more clearer. An early Palmer Jackson link up goal and plenty of other chances to kill the game off. You were looking super comfy, but it is never straightforward when it comes to Chelsea, is it? I mean, Eze curled in the most beautiful of goals just 10 minutes into the second half. And from there on, we just became pragmatic and slow. It was a turgid end to the game. 1 point from 2 at home, that Wolves result suddenly becoming a distant memory. Away to Bournemouth, and now 3 points, again the main remit. I mean, we're so early into the season and we saw a disruption in the team for the first time, with Disasi playing at right back for the injured Gusto and Renato Vega getting his first minutes in midfield alongside Caicedo, with Enzo Fernandez missing out through illness. That first half, man, was rubbish. There's no other word for it. The fact that Rob Sanchez was the man of the match tells the story. Fair play to him though. I mean, it was a monster performance from him. At halftime, it was nil-nil, and in steps new signing Jadon Sancho. United's problem becomes our solution. I mean, we spoke about how that right-hand side last season was operating at an elite level, and conversely, that left-hand side at times was a painful watch. Sancho, though, on debut caught the eye. That cameo, when he comes in, we were in a lot of trouble. It was a huge check mark on him. I mean, such a mature, calm, neat performance on the left hand side, ultimately setting up Nkunku for what was a sensational goal from the Frenchman. Everything you wanted to see from the centre forward. And on topic of debuts, I wanted to give a huge shout out to Tosin, who came on for the last 30 minutes and lent a commanding presence to the team. I mean, you take those kind of wins and move on, especially an away clean sheet as well, a rarity in the last few years. Chelsea had to go away again, another assignment at another away bogey ground. We haven't won at the London Stadium since 2016, Conte's first season. Yeah, but this time we rock up against West Ham, all bases loaded. Dawson stayed at centre half and Wes filled in at right back, which was not really ideal, but it was perfect from the get go. I mean, a Jackson double, both exactly the kind of finishes you want to see from your centre forward, and then setting up Palmer to add the third to finish the game off. I mean, we talked about the Palmer Gusto combination last season, but we quietly saw the emergence of Palmer and Jackson combining very nicely. They're on the same wavelength. The goals against Luton and Everton come to mind. I mean, those were beautifully crafted goals. That's 10 goals now they've combined for since last season. But that second goal was just peak football, man. Back to front. It was persistent, it was fluid, and then landing the killer blow with the beautiful finish. I mean, that was sensational stuff. And as it stands, I feel Maresca prefers a front three of Sancho, Palmer, and Madueke behind of Jackson, but also has the absolute luxury of bringing on Felix, Neto, Nkunku, and even Mudrik off the bench, which is a nightmare proposition for opposition managers. The three combined off the bench and could have added a couple more, but it stayed at three. And more importantly, it's back to back clean sheets away from home as well. We are looking good. Critical to acknowledge that Caicedo performance. It was massive, huge personality. I mean, the quality, the coverage, everything about that. He made his debut for Chelsea last season in this fixture. He had a nightmare start. I mean, he even gave a pen away at the end, which really gave the fuel for people to have that lazy narrative to discount what was a brilliant individual season for him last season, and he's just picking up from where he left off. 10 points, 11 scored from the first 5 games is a marked improvement from last season's start. I mean, 3 games just before the international break, it was just looking exactly what Chelsea wanted. And speaking of bench strength, I mean, the squad depth, Chelsea rolled up at the bridge against the League 2 side, Barrow, I think, with 11 changes. And the match ended 5-0 as expected. Scoring goals was never really going to be the problem, but it's all about the structure and shape and that style being consistent with that of the first 11. To top it off, it was 3 clean sheets in a row. That clean sheet run, however, was going to be tested when Brighton visited the bridge. They have been very impressive under Hertzler, and they took the lead through a Sanchez howler, man, from the brilliant to the absolute buffoonery. But Chelsea quickly responding courtesy of a wonderful Palmer hat-trick, the third being the most perfect free kick. I mean, he almost hit one last season at this bridge against Spurs. That one thundered against the crossbar, but this time, top bins. I mean, it was magnificent. Palmer adding free kicks to his already scary repertoire. I mean, it is a nightmare proposition. But another Sanchez howler opened the door for Brighton, but it was shut again from a lovely first-time finish from Palmer at the near post. And he made history by becoming the only player in Prem history to score 4 goals in the first half. And the second time he scored 4 goals in a game for us, man. He's an absolute baller. The game finished 4-2 with Brighton not really getting a sniff in that second half, which was exactly what we wanted to see. And Chelsea could have easily added more. I mean, the confidence was sky high. Final game before the international break was a tricky one, with Nottingham Forest visiting the bridge. I mean, the first 11 was all rested and raring to go, with the second 11 putting Ghent away with ease in the Conference League. But again, it's never straightforward, was it? I mean, Nuno got all 3 points at Anfield, so he was really, really chomping at the bit. I mean, gunning for another big scalp. It ended up as 1-1. I mean, it was disappointing, but we could have very easily lost that game, even though we had plenty of chances to win that game. Those two headers at the death, man, one from Felix and the other one of Nkunku right in front of goal after Mikhailo Mudryk ran from our half to put in the most brilliant crosses with his weaker left. I mean, both keepers are at the top of the game, and Chelsea losing 4 points at home against Palace and Forest into the October international break. It's not ideal, but it's not bad as well. Now it's 4 points behind league leaders Liverpool, and we head to Anfield next on Sunday. I mean, this is a massive test for Chelsea with Villa level on points with us. I mean, this is the phase where City, Arsenal, and Liverpool will start to pull clear from the rest, and we have to keep up arm's length. A point at Anfield isn't the worst, but a statement win there would be a huge boost and really put the rest of the league on notice, who are watching Chelsea come together after a 2 year unserious period, now looking like a team with a plan, a serious coach, and a serious squad. Up the Chelsea.